Hi, this is Kelley Hobart from Alpaca Direct, and I'm here talking with you right now because my daughter Lauren is having her baby tonight. So I'm going to be taking off first thing in the morning before Technique Tuesday starts. But I wanted to share with you a project that we did for Technique Tuesday last summer. And it was done in Oregon, and it was by Caitlin Hunter, and it's called Tegna, and it's using a fingering weight yarn. I used a cotton blend called Kabasi, but you could use any number of wool yarns or whatever you like. I've seen it all done up all different ways, and it looks just beautiful. It is kind of a A-line swing, short sleeve project that is very blousy and beautiful with the lace border all the way around the edge on the bottom. So I hope you enjoyed Technique Tuesday for tomorrow, and I will be back with you next week. Take care now. Good morning, this is Kelley Hobart from Alpaca Direct, and I'm here on Technique Tuesday, and we are traveling. We're on the road in Bend, Oregon right now, and we are on our way to see my mom for her birthday. So I'm looking forward to that, and it's a little bit of a journey to get there. So that's why we're on the road. So as we're going along today, I'm going to be talking about Tegna. And what Tegna is a summertime tea, and I'm making it out of this wonderful yarn, and it looks like this. And I have it here in this mug, and it's called Kabasi, and it's by Haiku, and it is a blend of cotton, bamboo, elastic, silk, and it's a great little yarn for your summertime wear. So I decided to make this tea by Caitlin Hunter, and as you can see, I'm not quite done with it. I finished the back. This is the back right here up to the top, and I have stitches that are bound off here for the neckline, and these are the shoulders, and it's kind of a drop sleeve tee. So, and it's a swing tee as well, so it's wide on the bottom, and then it has that drop sleeve. And so the first thing I did, as usual, when I'm working on the project, is I look at all the other knitters who have knit the projects, and I read their reviews of what they found that they liked and how they changed things to make their project more beautiful. And I try to learn from them so I don't have to go through the same pitfalls that they went through. So one of the things that I found about this pattern is they said that the sleeves tend to run a little bit small. So and also with having it be a swing on the bottom, so really wide on the bottom, I'm looking for something that's not super wide, because this pattern calls for 5 to 10 inches of ease, and I didn't want so much fabric that it looks funny on me. And so I'm trying to make it a little bit less of a swing, and maybe have the sleeve armholes a little bit longer so that it's not tight on the sleeves, because we don't like tight sleeves.
Debbie Doctor said she liked your yarn holder.
Oh, hey, Debbie Doctor, you won't believe how I figured this out. I was in the kitchen getting a glass of water one day, and I saw this big mug here, and it was from when we went to Oktoberfest, right? It's like a beer thing in Coeur d'Alene where you go to sample all these different breweries are there, and I thought we got it because I thought it would be fun to have root beer floats. We don't drink a lot, but anyways, I had it up in the cupboard for root beer floats, and I thought of putting my yarn in this because it was about the exact width of my skein. You see how that is? And this is super heavy, and I have this yarn gets tangled up and turns into a mess. And so what I did is I shoved it in here, and I'm telling you, I have had the most pleasant knitting experience using this silly mug that I've ever seen. And do you see how I elevated it a little bit by putting the tag in the bottom? I thought that was pretty cool. But I've been using this, and I think I'm going to use it for my yarn cozy for a lot more things, because a lot of times my yarn will get away from me, or the outside of the skein and the inside of the skein, the the strands of yarn will tangle together and cause a mess. But because this is so snug on the outside, you put that strand right, you tuck it right in there, and it never gets in the way, so you never have a mess. I thought it was pretty cool. Plus, you know how I love to use what I already have. So I thought it was a great thing, so I wanted to show you that. So now back to our tea. So I'm knitting along on this. I didn't start it until, what was it last Thursday or Friday, Jim?
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to get the gauge right. With the cotton fabric, I was looking for a drape that was drapey enough, but not see-through. And so it took me a little while to kind of get my gauge right to where I was satisfied with it. And so if you look right here at that, it's not see-through. Do you see? It's not super see-through, but it is squishy and soft. And so I did this lace pattern at the bottom, and this is really a pretty pattern. I really like it. And what I think I'm going to do when I get to my sleeves, I'm going to actually do this lace pattern for my sleeves on the edge of these sleeves right here. I want to do this pattern on it because I think it's cute, and I really had a good time doing that pattern, so I thought I would do it again. And as we're going along, make sure you let us know where you're from, maybe what you're working on, what you're enjoying knitting on right now. I know it's getting into summer months, it's getting a little bit warmer, and so we're breaking out the nice summertime knitting yarns, and or maybe the lace weight or fingering weight projects. And so I'm knitting with this Kabasi, and I really do enjoy it. If you look at the way it stripes and the colors are on it, isn't it pretty, Jim? Don't you like it?
Yep.
It's really pretty. I like it. If you look at this in person, it's almost like there's like a rosy pinky colors, but there's almost a bit of orange in it too. It really is pretty. I don't know if you can see it on the camera or not, but this project is this pattern by Caitlin Hunter has thousands of people who have completed the project on Ravelry, and so I thought it was a really great one. And I thought, you know, I've been wanting to do this one for a while, and so I did. And so, Jim, let's take a look at a second at this pattern.
And we're going to get that on our site too.
Yes, we're going to have it. Right now it's on Ravelry, but it will be on our website soon. So it doesn't call for a whole lot of yardage, about 800 yards for a size small. And then I was messing around with what sizes I wanted to get, and with the sleeves I wanted to make them bigger, because in the other Ravelry people who had done the pattern had problems with that, and I didn't want to have problems with that. And so I kind of just knit the lace pattern, and I always use the charts, and I do little things as I'm going along. If there's 3 knit stitches, I'll put a 3. If there's 7, I'll put 7. And then this is 5 purl stitches and 6 knit stitches. And I don't know if there are any of you out there that do that to help you, so you don't have to try and remember how many knit stitches and get off pattern. And also, as we're going along, this is a 20 stitch repeat, and it's really important when we're using doing our repeats to put stitch markers in between each 20 stitch repeat. I can tell you that I have a ton of students who, for some reason, one reason or another, they don't use stitch markers between each repeat, and they always are astonished at how quickly I can knit. And it's not that I'm knitting quickly, it's that I'm using stitch markers. I'm using every little trick that I know to make my knitting faster. And so if you wanted to make your knitting more efficient, use stitch markers on your repeats. You really will have an easier time, and you won't get off pattern so easily. I can't tell you how many knitters out there get off pattern and they don't know how to fix it, and so they come for help. So I'm happy to help them get back on track, but it would be nice for them if they didn't have to get off track in the first place, because then they could continue to knit on, right? So, and then as I'm going along, it says to divide for the armholes, and it says how long you should knit your armholes. And for the extra small size, it said to knit 4.75 inches. Well, I'm going for more of a medium size, so I'm doing it in stockinette for 5.5 instead of 4.75. And those are just little things that you can do as you go along that help you make the pattern a remarkable pattern, make it so it fits you perfectly. And that's what I did with this pattern. And I only have like a page and a half left before I'm done. And so it is a rather quick knit. And I'm having really fun doing it, especially using this yarn that's not too hot. So we are on our way heading toward Reading to see my sister today, and I think it's well over 100 degrees. Now mind you, let's see, just 2 weeks ago, Jim, we were in 40 degrees at our house, right?
Right.
Yeah, so when it goes from 40 to 100, having any kind of wool next to your skin is probably not the most pleasant experience you've ever had. Right, Jim? So anyways, I thought on this pattern calls for a couple different things, and one of them was a 3-needle bind off for the shoulders, and I wanted to show that to you. Now make sure as we're going along that we're talking about, you guys let us know where you're from and maybe what you're working on. And don't forget that our prize for last week was for a skein of sueno, and I don't have it with me, and some interchangeable needles and cords, right, Jim? And the prize for this week, we were going to give away some regular Chowgu needles in the red lace, just because I love them so much. And they look something like this. Now this pattern is kind of chewed, this one's chewed up because it's my personal one, but you will be getting some needles that are similar to this, and then you guys can try them. They have such a great tip on them. They're good for lace knitting as well as just all my regular knitting. I do a lot of different things on it. And so I really love those Chowgus lately. I've been really enjoying those. And then, what else?
Helen just said she started just using stitch markers for the first time.
Oh,
and she's really liking it.
You know, did I ever tell you guys this story? When I first learned how to knit, I didn't have any great mentors to show me how to do it. I was kind of learning how to do it on my own, right? And I didn't kind of get the concept of stitch markers. So I'd be knitting along and it said move marker. So I would pling, remove the marker. And then it would get to the next part. It would say knit to marker. I'm like, I thought you said remove the marker. And it's like, no, all they want you to do is move the marker from the left-hand needle to the right-hand needle. It's sort of like a bookmark in a book. You're just moving it over to the next place so you can keep track of that actual spot, whether it's the beginning of the round or the end of a pattern, or you know, whatever it is that they're marking. But stitch markers they're so fantastic. So in this pattern, they also have you do short row shaping on the shoulders. And if you've ever done short rows, the traditional wrap and turns, a lot of people get confused by wrapping and turning, and then they have a hard time picking up the wraps, and so the short rows are more visible and not as pretty looking. So I was excited to show you just real quick how easy German short rows are. So Jim, I wanted to take 1 second and show them that, and then I'll show them the 3-needle bind off that we're going to be doing on this summertime tee for the shoulders, doing the shoulders. And while we're talking, if you are wondering, so there's a couple of different options. If you're joining your shoulder seams, you could do a Kitchener stitch. You could just seam them, or you could do a 3-needle bind off. Now, Kitchener stitch is not a very stable seam. It's kind of a loosey-goosey, I don't think it gives any substantial seam on the shoulders, and I have done it before. That's why I know that it doesn't look as pretty as it could look. I think seaming it looks really good, and I think the 3-needle bind off is really nice too. Just remember when you're doing a 3-needle bind off that the wherever you're binding off, say if I'm binding off right here in the middle of this, your 3-needle bind off is going to leave a line across it. So if you don't want the line there, you need to make sure to do it on the inside of your work. So whichever you know, method you want to use, that's fine. But don't forget with the 3-needle bind off to do it on the inside of your work if you don't want that line to show. So on here, I have, do you see these little V's right here? There's a V right here, and there's a V right here. And if you look over on this side, here is another V. Those are your short rows. And these are German short rows, and they're super, super easy to do. And so, say on the pattern, it'll say knit or purl to 4 stitches before the last short row. So if I was doing the traditional wrap and turn, right, it would be right here. This would be the stitch that I was wrapping, because we have 4 stitches and then we have your short row. So, but if I'm doing the German short row, I would actually work that stitch. So that is a purl, and then I turn my work. Now, to do a German short row, you transfer that stitch on the left hand needle to the right hand needle purl wise, meaning needle tip to needle tip, with the working yarn always in the front, whether you're on the knit side or the purl side. That holds true. And then, do you see how I snug it up like that? I pull it tight and it makes a V that looks like that. And that is all you do to do a German short row. Isn't that cool? So, oops, right here is a German short row, and then the pattern will say knit to 4 stitches, but of course I have knit 1 more stitch because this right here is going to be my German short row. So then I would turn my work. Now we're on the purl side. We're still going to flip the stitch from the left hand needle to the right hand needle with your working yarn in front, and it's needle tip to needle tip or purl wise, whichever way you want to call it. And you just pull that over the top, and you would continue on and purl. And then when you're doing German short rows, there's no need to pick up wraps. All you do is you just knit like you normally would. So let me show you again. I just knit a German short row, but I didn't show it to you. So this right here is a German short row, and I'm going to actually work that German short row. And all I do is treat that as 1 stitch, okay? Then I would turn my work. And if you have any other, see, these are German short rows right here. Let me show you how you knit them. And I'll show you how nicely invisible they look. They look really, really good. That's why I like to do the German short rows. Not only are they easy, but they actually work well. So I insert that needle and just knit it, those 2 strands together. And then as soon as I finish this row, I'll show you how good and tidy they look. So with German short rows, the most important thing to do is remember to snug that German short row up when you're creating it. Okay? And if you look on here, the German short rows look really, really good. I mean, you can't find a better short row method, I don't think. I don't know that there's one out there. So that is a great method for doing short rows, and it's definitely one that I've used on this project to do I did German short rows up in here for these shoulders. And if you look at them really close, you really can't see it. So I highly recommend German short rows. Don't be afraid of them. Take your time. Remember that you're transferring that German short row stitch from the left hand needle to the right hand needle with the working yarn in front, and it's needle tip to needle tip or purl wise. Whether it's a knit or a purl, that same technique is used. So now let's look at our 3 needle bind off, and I'm just going to use the end of one of these needles to go ahead and do this because I don't know, I can, so I will. Right. So if any of you have questions as I'm going along, you let me know. So this is the stitch right here that I have on the needle that was from my bind off. So I would take those, knit 2 together as if they're 1 stitch, and then bind off 1. And then knit 2 together and bind off 1. And all you do is you just go along your row and you do this. You want to kind of keep it loose. If you could even use a needle that is 1 or 2 sizes larger when you're doing your bind offs, it works just as good as most stretchy bind offs, and it's easy to do if you own a lot of needles like I do. Just grab a larger needle for your bind off. Don't do what I'm doing and use a smaller needle. I'm just showing you on this sample, but you know, you gotta use a little larger needle. This needle isn't even that appropriate for this yarn. It's too small.
But we're on the road.
Yeah, you know what happens when you're on the road, you make things do. Oops. Come on, dearie. I have a couple more stitches that I'm binding off. And then when I get to the end, I will show you what it looks like. If I ever get to the end. Yeah. And so what I like about this 3-needle bind off is it really does give you a structured seam, and it's super easy to do. So sometimes when people are using, you know, a vertical seam or a horizontal seaming method, it doesn't look perfect, but this one looks pretty darn good, I would say. And it's easy to accomplish and nothing to memorize, so I don't know. It's pretty effortless. And then pull that right through. But you see on here, that's what it looks like on that side. And then here it is right here. It's a very substantial seam, and it looks great too. So that's how you do a 3-needle bind off. So that's pretty cool, huh? Anyways, all right. So we're back at it, and this next week I'll be working on a beautiful shawl. And so I'll have lots to show you then, and we will probably still be on the road, right, Jim?
Yeah, and mention our knit
Yes.
club.
Oh yes, and everyone at the knit club, thank you for joining the knit club, and I'm very excited to be able to be doing lots of projects with you and enjoying all the lovely yarn that we have in store. So
And we're shipping the first kit out this week.
yay! We're so excited. Yes, it's totally exciting. So I am, let's see here.
The contest. You got to talk about the winner.
Yes!
So what was the prize? What was the prize for this week?
Winner
So they
from
know.
last week was for Sueno and for our interchangeable red lace and the 22-inch cords that I said that I absolutely love. And let's see if I can find a winner today. Oh, Doris Haynes. Yay! Congratulations. You won. So all you have to do is tell us your address on the customer service site at alpacadirect.com, and we can get that shipped out to you. So congratulations. And for this week, we're going to be giving away some red lace needles, and these are what the red lace needles look like. I have a whole bunch of them that I'm knitting with. They're fantastic. So we'll be giving away more of those. And the next week, we're going to be talking about a beautiful shawl. Did I miss anything, Jim? I don't think so. I think we're pretty good. So you guys have a great week, and post comments in the comment section so you can be entered to win the prize, which is Chalgu needles. And if you have any questions at all, or need anything, or just are interested in a certain topic that we should cover, let us know, and we will talk to you next Tuesday. So you take care and have a great week.